All right, so issue of zooming, let me zoom in first. Okay, that's good. All right. Okay. So yesterday we kind of touched on data types. We kind of dwelled on data types, and then today we said we were gonna learn how to actually build like a fully functional CRUD application with a CRUD app with a basic like for users adding, removing, deleting, and retrieving, right? So as you can imagine, we don't have databases on the internet computer. Our canisters hold the data themselves, right? So for us to be able to store the data, we store the data in data structures. Data structures like arrays, lists, buffer, try maps, hash maps. Those are the data structures we use to store data on the internet computer, right? So yesterday we said you can use the keyword table to store some data. We can use the keyword table to store some data, and that works, right? That works. So now let's look at some data structures which you can use as you're creating a which you normally want to use, right, in your program. So we have arrays, right? So in Motoko, an array got fixed length, right? So you can't like expand it. So when you initialize an array in Motoko, you define the size of the array at the initial value. So let's say let my array is equal to array dot init. This is how you initialize a function. Okay, yeah, that's smart. Yeah, so who was asking Jacob, was saying like how to import some type or structure or whatever. You can see here it's underlined unbound variable array. It can't find the array. So if you have the extension installed, if you just like try to complete it like this, you see there's a suggestion here. If I click it, it automatically imports the array. You check. So here something is missing. I need to specify the type. Okay, yeah, that's how you initialize an array, and you can make it mutable if you want by using the keyword var, right? It's now the array is now mutable, but it still can't grow or shrink, right? Like there are no functions like array.put or whatever which you can use to like dynamically grow the array. Okay, so if you want to have a data structure which can dynamically grow, which you can continuously add some data and removing it, you might want to consider data structures like list, buffer, try map, and etc. Right? So that's an array, and an array, on an array, you can use the keyword stable as well. If you want your array to be stable, you can use the keyword stable, and it will be persisted in the stable memory of the canister, right? And then a list, you can have a list in Motoko. So let's my list. Okay, sure, we will share. We will share after we will share the lesson. Don't worry, maybe we will share, you catch it in the WhatsApp group. Okay. So a list is dynamic. It can grow, it can continuously grow. So a list, you can initialize it like this: list dot new, and then wait, you specify the type, and then like this. So I need to import the list. We are watching this Jacob, then it's imported. Now I have my list. And then I can make it grow as I want by using some of the utility functions that are available for my list. So let's say internet computer. Let's see. Books. Motoko. I want the best library. Motoko best library. So a list. What is it? There it is. So yeah, you have all these functions here that are available for you to use on the list. So if I want to like add a value to my list, I can just do list dot push on my list, and then that's how I push that's how I push an item to my list. Here it's screaming at me because I think I didn't put a type. I didn't specify. I didn't specify the type. Is that the reason? My list. Okay, let's see. Okay. It's because it's immutable. Is that the reason? It's a list. All right, so okay, I need to do a reassignment. I think that's the issue on my list here. If I want to push, I should do this. List dot push. The other way. One. Okay, yeah. My apologies to those who were stuck in the waiting room for a while. just been caught up here. Anyway, this is where we add. Yeah, so that's how you add items to your list, just like this. So I'd forgotten about I need first to reassign it, and then it's like I'm assigning my list to a list with one added. So that's how to add it to a list. So you can play around with the with this function and then see what the other functionalities you can do from the list, like find, merge, drop, whatever, right? So that's for a list. And another thing about a list is you can also use the keyword stable on a list, and the list will be stable, so that you don't, when you upgrade your canister, it will automatically upgrade, right? And then let's move on to buffer. A buffer, let's say, a buffer. So you initialize the buffer. Buffer to the buffer. Say nuts. And on a buffer, you need to like set the initial value or the bound. Let's say you can put this 0 if you want to start from 0, or put it from 10 or whatever, right? And these are the a buffer. Now a buffer is a class, right? A buffer is a class. So if I want to add an item to the buffer, I can do my buffer. But is it push? Not sure. Let's see if it works. Not really. Which function is available on a buffer? So this is basically how you go about, like, as you're going about it alone. You'll be doing this trial and error thing, and checking the docs and see what you want and go with it, right? So a buffer, okay, we have add, not push. On a buffer, we have add, right? So now on buffer, we can't use this table. It will scream at us. So that's one thing you need to know. Like, there are data structures which are stable themselves, like arrays and lists, and these, what are they? These primitive types, right? But these data structures like buffer, trimap, hashmap, they are classes. They are classes, so they are not stable, right? They have member functionalities inside them, so they are not stable. You can't use the keyword stable on them. If we look in the buffer here, you can see where do we do what is it? Yeah, you can see we have the class buffer. So, and for lists, it's not a class, right? It's not a class. And you can also see, like, from the way we call the functions from the list, from from a list, we do like stuff like, what was it? I was saying my list, then equals to list dot, okay, that was this equals to list dot, what is it, push, right, like this, okay, and we use the keyword list and then push, but here it's a class. The buffer is a class, so that's why we get the function that is in the instance of our buffer class. So that's one thing to know. Like, you can use the stable keyword for these non-class based data structures like arrays and lists, but for class based structures like buffers, trimap, what is it? The stable keyword won't work. Here we have to resort to the pre-system pre-upgrade and post-upgrade functions, which we will look into right now. So let's say now you want to create an actual application, like store some users, right? You want to create an app to store some users. So you will in the Web2 world, the Web2 sense, when you want to create some users for application, you create a table, right? And you specify. Yeah, go ahead, Elias.
Sir, since you said the buffer as a class cannot be made stable, is it possible after assigning the class buffer to a variable to make that variable that is holding a buffer stable?
Yes, it's possible. Like, as you are going to see very soon, like, when we do the pre-up and post-upgrade functions to update our state during, like, to keep our state during upgrades, we actually serialize the data from the buffer or from the unstable structure, be it a buffer, a trimap, into a stable structure in array, and then after the upgrade, we put it back into the buffer or into the unstable structure. You get, so you are going to see that very soon. So
Right.
yeah. Okay. So you would want to, like, you want to create some users, you would create a table and you create the fields, right? You create the fields, but here now it's similar in a way, but like the fields you create what are called types. Now you create the types for the user, for your users, right? So I'll create a type user, and then I'll give my user, the user will probably have like a name, which will be a text, right? And they might have like email, text, and maybe age. It can be, and that's, let's just say, not 8, right? We know, like, there's no human who can have age that is bigger than not 8. Then we probably want a timestamp constant. Now go ahead.
I think someone is trying to attend it.
It's trying to
Attend. on this meeting?
Currently I've admitted everyone at the moment. Those who were stuck, I admitted them. But thanks, I'll keep an eye on them. I'm keeping an eye on them. All right. And then created it, like would like to know when they were created it. So we have a time module. So the actual time type, we can access it by type dot time. So we just need to import the time. Right. So that's our user. All right. And now we want a scalable data structure to store our users. We have options with buffer, with trimap, with hashmap. Most preferable one will be a trimap. It has its advantages over like a hash map. And let's try to look. I would choose a trimap over a buffer because of the functions that are available for us to manipulate the trimap over the buffer. And also you can see a buffer here. Sorry, kind of multitasking. If I just go mute, I'm looking at another screen, trying to admit people. So this is a buffer, like essentially store one value like this, right? And you can access the value by like its index. So it's kind of tedious as it grows, right? But that's the point where, so there are also some cases where a buffer will be favorable, where you don't exactly need a key or something, and you just want to add some value, something in the buffer, all right? But normally for cases like users or some structures, you need a structure that can like allow you to have a key value pair functionality where you can easily fetch a value, right? So that's where a hash map and trimap are favorable. Because in a hash map or a trimap, you can store data with key value pairs, right? And then, so now you can ask yourself, which one should I go with, a trimap or a trimap? What's essentially a trimap and a hash map that like a kind of the same, right? If you look at this interface that is available for a trimap and this interface that is available for a hash map, basically the same thing, right? But there's one big of a key difference in the structure itself. A trimap, inside the trimap class, it uses like a try to store its data. And the hash map uses what is called an associated list. And a hash map can have some unpredictable behavior. when you're inserting it, it can have some unpredictable insertion cost. So let's say you're adding some data. At some point, it can like hash itself automatically, and it can hash its table that is holding the data automatically, and each insertion costs some cycles. And when and this unpredictable behavior of hash map, where it can like automatically rehash itself, it can end up adding additional what can I say, additional unpredictable cost, but like it's negligible really. But like if you have an application that would be like very big, using thousands of users and what's not, that small value can start to become a bit substantial. So anyway, what I'll say is a rule of thumb is always prefer a trie map over a hash map, even though they work basically the same way. So those are the reasons for choosing like a trie map over a buffer and over a hash map. Over a buffer is because you can store the data in key value pairs. So now let's create our variable to store our users. So let's say users equals to trie map dot trie map. We are now dot trie map, and then the key value pairs. So let's say, okay, so we will need to store our user maybe with a unique ID type, user ID, which will be a text. So this user ID can be an email or whatever, but the user ID will be a text, right? So user ID, and here's how you initialize the trie map. So it will basically be text dot equal text dot hash. So we now have our map for users, our trie map for users. And now to the point which I can't remember your name, but which you raised, like, so for these unstable structures, can we convert them to a stable structure and then store the data from there? So this is where that comes in here. So we have our users in a trie map, and then we now create a stable variable of like users entries. Of users entries, which will be user ID. Yeah, that's perfect. Okay, so this is the one which we will use to temporarily store the users during upgrades, and then after an upgrade, we return the users back to the trie map. You can because this one is stable. Right? So we now need to implement the pre-upgrade system functions. So it's, what is it? I don't know how to write system now. System. System pre-upgrade Yes, quiet trust.
Yes, I wanted to ask you why you're using the angle bracket. Like for example, in this one, why I say that try map dot try map, and then I put angle bracket user ID comma user. Then you have used the angle bracket.
Okay, so this is how you like specify the types for the. If you noticed, I also did this for a list, even for the buffer. So this is basically the syntax of specifying the type for the data structure you are using in cases like this. That's why I use this angle bracket. Awesome. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right. And then like, so in this pre-upgrade, this is where we will assign. This is where we will assign. So okay, so before we upgrade, pre-upgrade, before we upgrade, we'll serialize the data from the user. We'll move the data from the user's map into the into this array, right? So there is a type called an iter. There's a structure called an iter, data structure called an iter, which converts a map, this map to an array. So to array and yeah, users dot entries. Okay, and then we need a system post upgrade. Yeah. Copilot is doing great. Let's see if it's really accurate. So anyway, this is correct. Oh, we have to check this. No, not really, just a small part. So it forgot to do. Forgot to do dot files. There we go. So now after the upgrade, now I'm reassigning the map from the values that are in here. Okay. And then okay, it's basically created the CRUD functions for me. Let's see how I can modify them. So Copilot is an awesome tool. If you can have it, it will help you a lot. So now we want to create a function to add the CRUD function to add user, retrieve users, and what's not. So public shared function create user. Really, what we want is args arguments of the user type, and this function should be an async function, and we really don't want it to return anything, and then but it will add, right? And then get user. This one should be a bit shared, but it should be a query function if you remember what we talked about yesterday. Query function, get user, and it should be an async function. Something is not right. This function should be giving an error exactly. Even this one. So we said the ID will be the email, right? We agree that the ID will be the email here. So the key will be hugs dot email, and here we say hugs. Yeah, now that's perfect. And then get user, so we specify the user. Okay, let's just say the ID, right? And so now it's giving this error because the user may or may not exist, the user with this ID, right? So it's optional, right? It's optional. The user may exist or may not, but here we are saying the user is definite. We're going to get a user. So that's why it's screaming at us, it's giving this error. So one way to fix it is to put a question mark here. So we are saying a user can be null, can be a null value, may or may not exist. But this is not best practice. Like, it works in some cases, but you need to really know exactly what kind of happened in your code, right? So we introduce the result type. The result type is available to us from the base library. Okay, so the result type, if everything goes well, the first value is the okay value. If everything goes well, we get the user. If something is wrong, we get an error. Our error will just be a text, but it can be anything. If you have some complex error and you have the error type, you just put it here. But here in our case, it will just be a simple text error if we don't find a user. And then, so now how do we handle what's inside here? There's a switch statement which we can use in Motoko. So we switch. So basically, a switch handles the case where it allows you to handle different cases you have in your code, right? So we are saying users.get. We're saying users.get. And then for the case, we're saying a user may or may not exist. But the case where a user doesn't exist, we want to return the error. So we return, this is how we return an error, hash, and we said it's a text. So the text will say user not found. I hope I didn't lost a lot of people here. We're just saying we're using the switch statement. We're saying a user, by default, the get function returns a null or a value. The user may or may not exist. And then the switch statement is helping us to handle those cases, right? So user.get ID. If the user is null, we return the error, user not found. If the user exists, you put the syntax. So let's say user. If the user exists, we want to return an okay, and then we return okay, and then we have the user. So now our function is is better now. Okay, we know exactly what went on in our function, and we no longer get a no value. Because a no value can mean anything. It doesn't tell you exactly what happened. So that's important. And the update function, for a map, for a try map, it basically works the same as the create, because what it does is it just finds a user. It just finds a value for a given key, and then it overrides it with a new value. That's how you actually update. So a try map doesn't create duplicates for the same key. It doesn't. That's another problem also with like a buffer. You can add repeated data, duplicate data, if you wish. But now in a try map here, for the same key, it will just override. It will not create duplicates. So updating is just saying for the value for this key, put this value, this new value you get. So that's what's happening here. So we know like the user might be having an ID inside here. So we can say user.email. That's our ID, that's our key. And then, okay, something important is kind of missing. Let's see. Needed to return nothing. All right. And then the delete function. So there's a users.remove. We can do users.remove, but it's giving an error. We can ignore this. We can ignore the no value. So remove. It can either find the value at the given key or it cannot. So it returns either a no value or an okay, right? So you can do ignore and ignore whatever if it fails, and then if it finds it, it removes it, right? But there's another value, there's another function from the map you can use, which is delete. This one, it doesn't care if it finds anything or it doesn't find. It just do what it needs to do, and then it keeps quiet. So you usually want to go with the delete. And then we want, let's say we want to get all users. So this another thing, this should be a public share. This should be a query function, and it should be an async function, and we don't pass in an argument. So there are two ways. Either you want to get the complete key value pairs for all the users. You can do it like this, and it will work. But in most cases, we know like the ID is already in the user value. So you don't really want to get key value an array of key value pairs. You just want an array of actual users, right? So in that case now, here you no longer say entries. Entries is covering the whole key and values in the map. But if you say values, you can now just get the values of which is the user object. So you now get an array of the user objects in the map. So yeah, there you have it. There you have it. A complete CRUD application with pre-upgrade and post-upgrade, and we can give it a spin real quick. Oh, another one important thing I would like to mention. Let's see, our time is running out, but I'll just try to squeeze it in the next few minutes. So as your project grows, if the project grows, you see you have a lot of types here. Remember, working on another project, like the types alone, you can get to like thousands of lines. You need to organize them better, right? So you probably need another file for like storing types. You can call it types.mo, and it should be a module, right? Module, a module. So a module can store classes, types, utility functions, you name it. But this module of ours, it will just be storing types for now. We don't want fancy stuff. So to just be storing types, right? So if I want some utility functions, I'll create another function and call it maybe utils.mo. If I want whatever, another function, another set of functionality, I will also create it, another module for whatever. And then this is the basic syntax. You type module, and then if you want to access the types that are inside the module or the functions or whatever inside the module, they have to be public. So if it's a class or whatever, you have to use public. Okay. So now I can come now into my main.mo and import the types. So I can do import types. It will give me this suggestion. That's cool. So I import the types from types, like it's already picked. The extension helped me to pick these types. So now I can now do type.user is equals to user.type. So I can do it like this, and it will just be one line, or I can do it like this. So if I know like I'm going to use the user type multiple times, this is the best way to do it. I'll just have this one line of use, and then I can use it whenever I want in my app. Or if I know like I will just use it one time, I can just do this. Types.user, exactly where I want to use it. But as you can see, I will need to do it on multiple occasions, like here, wherever I'm using the user. So the best way would just be to do this, to say type user, types.user, and then ID, type
Good
user.
evening.
Good.
Sorry for interruption, Mr. Enoch.
Yes.
Are you able to increase the volume?
The volume.
So we can hear you clear, please.
Okay. I'm not sure how I can. Maybe I can just speak louder. Okay, I'll try that. Anyone else who's not hearing me properly? Okay, yeah, so Yeah, so maybe I think it's your network Seconet. So anyways, that's how you import modules, and that's how you access like the types in the modules. So let's give it a spin real quick. FX deploy. And so let's create a user. My age of 2. And it's created. Let's just put 9. My email. My email, and then I call. Okay, so I created my user, my email. So now, if I say get users, I will get a record. Okay, let me add another one. Let's do random. So if you do random, it just creates some random, just puts in some random data, right? Like this. So another. So let's see, get users. Yeah, there are now 2 records. And let's see if I get user. My email was this one. Query. I can get this one. Let me copy this ID for this other user. And if I say I put in here and I get that user. Let me delete this user. Delete them. So let me try to get them again. I now get an error, user not found. So looks like everything is working. If I call again, yeah, that other user has been deleted. So looks like everything is working well. So there you have it, a complete CRUD function, a complete CRUD canister. And you can build whatever you want from on top of this. I promised you to introduce you to homeworks. I'll just try to show you guys in a few minutes. So there's this website. Show you. This is the, yes, Mr. Trust, go ahead.
Yes, I wanted to ask, maybe on behalf of others also, like if it would be necessary to send the code in the group also, because I know maybe there might be others who couldn't follow through or write the code for the sake of practice and try to catch up where they could have been left behind.
Okay, this code. All right, I will send it. I will send it. Yes, Elias, go ahead.
I wanted to ask on the way you've done the types. Can you also do the same for the functions and then make them available into another module?
Come again.
Like you have a module that has functions.
That if okay.
Then can you do the same the way we've done with types to provide those functions into another module that can call them?
That can call them.
Yes, that can call the functions that you've written in another module. Like you have 2 modules. One module contains the functions. The other module doesn't contain the function, but you need those functions to be available in that other module that doesn't have functions.
Okay, like I have a function here.
Yes, like you have a function there. Now I want this function to be available in the main module.
in the canister, in the actor.
Yes.
Okay, so let's see. This is how I would access it. Public. Public shared query function. Call function from a module. That's what I'll just call this function. Text. And this, let's see. Okay, so I have this function, my function, and then I've called it inside my module types with my function. So if I call this function now for my canister, I should be able to get this text, hello from types.mo. So let's deploy real quick. And oh my God. Hello from types.mo. So you check.
Okay.
It works. Yeah. So that's how you do it. You just
Okay.
make sure your function or your class is public, and then you can access it from your canister or other modules.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's no need to import anything, right?
No, you imported. We had imported already.
Oh, we imported the types already.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. We had imported the types already.
All right. Right. Thank you very much.
All right. So I was saying the homeworks. This website I sent in the group. So you log in. So this internet identity or NFID is basically internet identity, but which allows you to log in with your Google account. So you use this if you fail to create internet identity yourself. But I would advise you to try to create an internet identity yourself. So I log in. Then I'll put in my name, put in my email. I'll put in the organization I'm from. I'll put in my GitHub link. Then I'll register. That's what you will do. And then when you are registered, you see this page for homeworks. All right. So what you will need to do is you do these homeworks. We have this number of homeworks, which I'll share with you. I will also share in the group. So you need to go on homework 1, project 1. You complete these functions. You need to complete these functions. It's basically a calculator. Follow these instructions. So there are some instructions here which you need to follow. And then you implement the homework by completing these functions. And then once you complete them, so let's say, for instance, this is your homework, it's complete. For you to be able to submit the homework on this website when you have completed the homework, it needs to be a live canister. So for it to be a live canister, you need to deploy it on the playground, right? On the playground. If you remember that playground I showed you yesterday, so that your canister will just run for 20 minutes, but you will be able to submit it in those 20 minutes. So to deploy to playground, we just do dfx deploy playground, and then it deploys. It deploys to playground. So what you will want is this canister ID here. It's also here. It's the one you will submit for your homework. So let's say you did homework 1. And then you come here and paste your canister ID. And then you select, yeah, so it's already selected homework 1. And it will give me this error because this is really not the homework 1. So it will show you the error and try to explain the errors that happen. But if your homework is correct, let me see, I have an implementation that works for the homework. So let me try to tfx deploy playground. Oh my God, what's the issue? What's the issue? Okay, fx deploy. Just want to deploy the backend one. I just want to show you what the submission will look like if you are successful, if your homework is correct. So if you do your homework correctly, then you submit, and then you go submit. Homework verification is successful, and then you see homework 1 completed. So, and then you go homework 2, you just continue getting these checks as you complete the homeworks. So do that. If you code your homeworks and then you want to test them, because you need to test before you submit, you can test them on the candidate interface here and test if the homeworks are working as explained in the guide here. So that's it about the homeworks. I'll send some more. I'll just send this repo and some instructions as well in the group after this call. I'm just now rushing to end this call. What do you need to do to DFX? You don't need to do anything to DFX, but usually playground, you don't necessarily need to deploy the front end. You can, but usually just the backend canisters are the ones you can easily deploy to playground. So you don't need to do anything in TFX. You just use the flag playground, and then you deploy to the playground. All right. Any questions before we close in the next 5 minutes or so? Any questions? All right, no questions. Thank you, guys. All right. Victor, go ahead.
Sorry, my
do-
question. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Sorry, I kind of joined the boot camp like early today because of a friend referred me to it. So I don't know where I can get like the first lessons so that I can go through it, then do the assignment for today's one. Thank you.
So there are videos in the group. Join the Web3 Community Zambia group. There are some
Yeah,
videos.
I joined already.
Or you saw that? Did you see? Can someone resend that list of?
Yes, I saw it. I was
You saw-
going through it before today's. Okay, that's it, Abby. That's the first
Oh,
one. Okay.
okay. Thanks. So yeah, just go through those videos. You will catch up. Josh, can you show me the command you are running? Okay, you said jfx deploy. So you have to put 2 hyphens. jfx deploy and then 2 hyphens and then playground. And then it should go through. Did it deploy? Or is it deploying? Okay, awesome. Okay, so thank you guys. Sorry for the time going overboard. Let's meet again tomorrow. Try to get busy, play around with this. Tomorrow there will be few new concepts. We'll just cover a few stuff. It will mostly about the kind of mentorship session, helping you guys with the problems. So yeah, try to get busy. And then tomorrow we see how we can help you and get you to actually build. Because in the hackathon, you will need to actually build some projects. So if you don't practice, you won't really make the best out of it. So yeah, that's it. You have a good night, everyone. Let's meet again tomorrow.
Good night. Thanks.
Good night.